Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir. There we
All
go.
right. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum
Salaam, sir.
salam, sir. Good to see you in the building. We're going to go ahead and open up in prayer. As always, attention prayer family. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Surely I am being turned to thee, O Allah, being upright to him who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheists. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he, and of this I am commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, there is no God but thee, thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess of my faults. So grant me protection against all of my faults, for none grants protection against faults but thee, and guide me unto the best of morals, for none guides unto the best of morals but thee, and turn away from me the evil and the indecent morals, for none can turn away the evil and the indecent morals but thee. O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as thou did make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful. Surely thou art praised and magnified. And O Allah, bless Muhammad and bless the true followers of Muhammad, as thou did bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham. Surely thou art praised and magnified. Ameen.
Ameen.
Ameen. In the most holy name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that Allah intervened in our affairs in a divine person of Master Fard Muhammad, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I'd like to greet us all in the greeting words of peace and paradise, we say in the Arabic language, which simply means peace be unto you. As-salamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you kindly. Welcome, everybody, all participants, and of course, our special guest to, well, this is what, the second time? This is, I think, the second or third time. The last time he was on, he wasn't a brother Imam yet. So we're going to welcome our brother Imam, student Imam, Abdul Salaam, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Abdul Salaam Muhammad to the master call. And thank you all of our participants and visitors and guests, whether you're first time, second time, or been hanging with us for since June 4th of 2020. We thank Allah for you for always coming back and making the master call what it is. If you have any questions at present, you can absolutely put them in the chat. You can send them directly to Brother Darren X, so we can have those questions there. For the sisters, ask the questions that you need to ask. There are certain specific questions that as sisters during Ramadan, we absolutely want to know. So ask those questions, and whatever the brothers y'all got going on, ask those as well. Praise be to Allah. And with no further from myself, my name is Anissa. Welcome to the Master Call. With no further from myself, Brother Demetrius will be holding our interview.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, sister. Assalamu alaikum, family. Again, we are in for a treat. Ask any of your questions, send them to Brother Darren. Brother student Imam Abdul Salaam, I have a question for you off the bat, sir. Well, first off, before we just drag you through our list of questions, do you have anything that you would like to open up with in particular for the subject of Ramadan readiness, brother?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yes. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who intervened in our affairs in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. We thank him for his wise choice for us and our messenger Messiah, the exalted Christ, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and we're forever grateful to the both of them for extending our days, our months, our years with the presence of our divine extension of guidance, mercy, and teaching among us today, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That is in their names, I greet all of my dear brothers and sisters on the Master Call with the greeting words of peace, the best greeting that we could give, of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir. And I see everybody on camera returning the greetings. Praise
yes.
Allah.
So thankful to be back again with the family.
Yes, sir. We thank you for always being available and willing to come. This was not exactly very early planned. That's no secret. But everybody is here. Brother Imam is here. And that's master calling at its finest. We can do it a day ahead, which we didn't, but we
Yes,
could if we wanted. Praise be
praise.
to Allah. Um, but was that, aside from your opening and introducing yourself properly, Brother Imam, was there any other words you wanted to share as far as Ramadan? Any thoughts on your mind before we go into questions?
No, I would only say that we're just a few days away from the approach of the ninth month of our Islamic calendar, or the lunar calendar of Islam, the month of Ramadan. So we're in the closing or remaining days of the eighth month, Sha'aban, which is a month of preparation. So while we still have a few days left, it is important that if you get nothing else from the call tonight, it is to get into a space where you can set your mind and set your soul on, inshallah, welcoming the month that Allah affords all of us as Muslims to reset, recalibrate, and have a purification of our souls, as Allah is giving us an opportunity to come through the month of Ramadan and leave it with a clean slate. So don't, I would like to say, it's coming, but you kind of put off things that you should do as the prep. If your diet ain't in order, I don't think you're going to get it in order in 5 days, but you can get it in order in the month of Ramadan. So I'm saying, really more so your mind, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave us a mantra call to making sure that we understand that when Satan whispers to us in the month of Ramadan or prior, based upon the requirement, we be Satan talking, saying, oh man, that's hard. You can't do this. He said, stop it and say right away that I will do it. I must do it. I can do it. I must do it, and I will do it. And he said that just after one day of completing one day, you will see success, and not to imagine 29 to 30 days of coming through Ramadan. We should all come out better than what we started.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. I'm glad you brought up that whispering. We'll definitely ask about that shortly. Um,
Yes.
the first thing I would like to ask you, brother, is because of this particular time that we're in,
Mm-hmm.
um, given the tone of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's recent Savior's Day address, the War of Armageddon has begun. We see the condition of the economy, and just a lot of things taking place in the world via the forces of nature, wars, what have you. What would you say? Do you feel like this Ramadan has a particular importance that we should take advantage of, or do you feel any significance of this Ramadan should be considered that we take advantage of in this time?
Well, if the question is the timing of Ramadan significant? Well, the timing of Ramadan is fixated on Allah's time, for
Yes.
he gave us a calendar that moves. But if you talk about the significance of the time in general that we're in, of course, there's a great blessing for Ramadan to be present in a time that we're watching that which the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his chief helper, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, they have been teaching us of these days, and we're seeing it. Remember, go back to Savior's Day 2020, when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told us that that was the unraveling of the great nation. But this nation that's unraveling as America, we're attached to it. So he also warned us of the unraveling of us. And so Ramadan is here. So if we found ourselves unraveling, not because the collapse of an economy, but certainly the mass of Black people are already economically poor, broken, and find themselves in poverty. So the collapse of the white man's economy ain't affecting our dead brothers and sisters that are in the hood.
Yes, sir.
They've already learned how to live in a way without wealth. So what we should be doing as the Muslims is making sure that we're getting ourselves together so that we can be the best example that we can be to our brothers and sisters, to show that even in the midst of the collapse of this world by Allah's doing and choice, we're still his choice as a people. But he doesn't love us because we're particularly black skinned. He loves us in the sense that we would submit to do his will. So naturally, we are the original man, the original Asiatic black man and woman of the planet Earth. But what Allah wants to see is whether or not we will become the type of helpers to our beloved Messiah that's in our midst, as he was to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So the significance of Ramadan, this is not a month for us to retreat into a corner.
Yes, sir.
And think that we're going to become pious and righteous because we're abstaining from food and water, or maybe lawful relations with our spouses. No, there's much more in view. And what is that? To get out there and do the thing that Master Fard Muhammad demonstrated when he came. And that is the ma'oon, the neighborly needs. Going out to do the things for our people to show them that we were just like you. And we are you. But we've been invited into a truth, a divine revelation, a prescription that has been given specifically for us first, but then it would spread to the whole of humanity. So that's really the significance. So our prayer should be, our dua or supplication should be, as we're about 5 or 6 days away, is that Allah bless us to even see and into the month of Ramadan for each day, dear family, that we're blessed to wake up and be consciously aware of who we are and where we are. Know that you didn't wake yourself up. Allah afforded you and I to see another day because of the activation and the sensory of the 5 senses are still alive for us to even know that we are around. So don't take it for granted that we'll lay down tonight and see tomorrow, but yet we make our dua that we see another day, but definitely see the holy month of Ramadan.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Just looking at the comments, people appreciated that response.
All praises.
For the next question, my brother. Oh, we could drink during this? Okay. I thought it was getting a little dry. I didn't want to look. Y'all saw Brother Imam do it, so I'm gonna just have me a little sip of water if that's cool.
Well, the obligation is not here yet.
Yes, sir. I'm just messing. You don't want to do too much.
I'm trying to carry it. It is good to go as far as you can go, though. Right now, try to see how far you can go to get summed up, instead of, how when we run in that gym, when we get excited, we go in there and try to run 3 miles, lift weights, do aerobics, and then we ain't going back for the next 5 months. So, start cutting back a little bit throughout the day, cutting a habit, if you will.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. And since you say that, I'm actually gonna skip to this question while while the subject matter is on your mind. Question from somebody in the audience to our pre-question says, Assalamu alaikum. This is brother Shafai Muhammad from Huntsville. How would you advise managing the fast of Ramadan while under intense exercise and competition?
Oh, very good question. I think those of us that love basketball, we know we have some example of Muslims. Just recently, our brother Kyrie Irving observed Ramadan last year. But when you think of Akeem Olajuwon, You know, that's back when the game was really, really aggressive. But Akeem Olajuwon kept his fast. He practiced, he played. We have Brother Raouf, who did the same thing. So these are examples of Muslims that were under extreme pressures physically, but the will was so strong to obey the obligation of Allah, because Allah doesn't exempt us from the fast because we're involved in working out in sports, right? He doesn't even tell us that, oh, you're exempted from the obligation of fasting because you work out in the heat or on a construction site. That is not an exemption. So we have to do our best dealing with our personal circumstances to unplug from things that may increase a hardship on ourselves because of what we choose. Because Allah does not desire hardship for us with the fast, He desires ease. But the ease that He's giving us and the exemptions that He gives us are valid. But if you don't have to put yourself under such stress based upon physically what you have going on, then see if you can pull back a little bit to make ease on yourself. Even for those that voluntarily like to stay in shape and work out in the month of Ramadan, you have to be very careful. You can't keep up that regimen and you're fasting 10 hours, 11 hours maybe throughout the day, where you cannot intake water. And if you're lifting weights, there's a 2-hour window after doing weight training or strength training. Some of you on here can bear witness. I want to see in the chat, back me up or tell me that I'm wrong, that if you're lifting weights, you're going to you have a 2-hour window to get protein, the proper protein back into your system, because it's necessary for muscle growth. My brother said, man is preaching. All praise is due to Allah. I'm just saying these things. So you may not be able to lift as heavy. And if you've been consistent, then yeah, you may lose a little mass in Ramadan, but we got a thing called muscle memory that once you get back into your normalcy, you'll be right back there. But don't do it. In other words, to my brother, if it's sports, you're playing sports and you play for a team, there are examples. I close it with this. Outside of sports activities or strenuous work, we're entered into a Ramadan that in most cases, at least on the East Coast, right, in the Midwest, we don't have to, I guess, unless Allah just does it, but seasonally, we don't have the August, the July, the June heat, or the length of day time, right? In terms of fasting hours, we have entered into a cycle of shorter days. The days are actually getting longer now, but in 2 or 3 years, we'll be in February, January, eventually back to this beloved December that we keep trying to hold the Muslims to, though the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan absolved us of it in that sense. Some of you hardliners, you think you know better than the Messiah. But anyway, that's my little jab, right? But, oh yeah, I see you, Brother Yusef, you laughing because you know that's right. So anyway, think about brothers and sisters that live in sub-Sahara Africa, near the equator. It's always hot there, right? Think of zones that don't see coolness at all. But our brothers and sisters in Africa is out there in the heat, working because they can't do like the Arab do, shut everything down in the daytime and go to sleep all day and then, wake up for your prayers and then get ready to break your fast at Maghrib and party all night with food and make your Fajr prayer and then go to sleep. But they have to go out and work. So what excuse do we have when we know that if it was hot outside, we could turn the air conditioner on? We can go from a cool house to a cool car, right? So heat for us is getting out our car to go into a place where we work that has air conditioning. So the minister said one time, all of these, not that brother's question is valid, but many of us are posing issues about Ramadan, as the beloved said, just say that you really don't want to do it. Just be honest that you really don't want to do it. And then we end up dragging the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in, trying to use words from himself against himself, taking words of the minister from 81, 82, and trying to invoke them in 2023 when he's already evolved us up over time to fit what? Not that you're really pious and that you are really a true follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Just say that you're weak and you don't want to follow the command of Allah that gives us the command in the Quran to do it. And certainly his messenger Messiah and the beloved minister has guided us along in our evolution as a community that was sick and on a journey. But I said the other night on the Ramadan Readiness with our beloved student national Imam, most of your generation never had a December fast under those guidelines. Most of those younger Muslims, you didn't have a Ramadan where we were just doing it in December as Ramadan. So what point are we making? That when you start fasting at the time in terms of how we fast in this time. And stop making a bunch of excuses about this or that. The minister said, we just really don't want to do it.
Sir, that was a good, excellent answer. Thank you, brother. We have a lot of questions. I'm gonna try to get to as many as possible. So the next one we have here, let's see. Why is making Hajj important?
First and foremost, it's one of our pillars or principles of action, according from the tradition of Prophet Muhammad, peace and prayers be upon him, as well as given to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in his flagship book, Message to the Black Man. In fact, I think I have it here to read it. But if not, we are aware of it, hopefully, as his student. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was telling us that, oh, here it is right here. He says right on page 82 of Message to the Black Man that the main principles of action in Islam is keeping up prayer, spending in the cause of truth or charity, fasting, especially during the month of Ramadan. This is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's words. Pilgrimage to Mecca. Okay? But he also talked about how in Message to the Black Man, that talking about the Holy Quran, that the Holy Quran is that which is to be read or recited and was revealed to his servant in the month of Ramadan. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad cites the verse chapter 2, verse 185, right in Message to the Black Man. So to all of those that try to mock us as not being real Muslims, our beloved Honorable Elijah Muhammad never missed.
That's right.
He never missed. But we're missing as the followers now because we try to superimpose more or take away from instead of going back to and digging in. You know, the minister shared something one time about students. You know, good students listen and they don't just do what is average. They always try to go beyond. See, but when you're mediocre, you just hear what you want to hear. Or you saw it, but I saw that, but I like this part right here, you know. So we can't dismiss the words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or the minister, because these servants that are among us, Allah don't make their tongue to speak idle words. Yes, so that's why Hajj is important, is because it is a pillar of our faith that at least once in our lifetime, if we can afford to, look at the mercy of Allah. Everybody is not able maybe to be able to afford to make Hajj. But if you make the intention to go and never be able to afford it, Allah still rewards you for even sincerely making the intention. But can I close with something beautiful about our religion?
Please do.
Have you read in the Quran under the themes, unity, the basis of all religion? Of all religions. Look at the beauty of Islam, the universal religion of Islam and the unity that Islam brings, right? Do you know when you give each other the greetings of Assalamu alaikum, whether you're giving it to an individual, when you give that individual the greetings, you're greeting all the Muslims, whether they're there or not, based on the preciseness of the Arabic language. Assalamu. See, that grammar right there is saying, peace be unto all. All. Okay. Do you know every Hajj season when the pilgrims that physically go to Mecca and to perform the Hajj, that they are performing Hajj for all the other Muslims that didn't go? Yeah, really. That's the unity of the religion.
Yes, sir.
Right? Do you know that there's not 1 second on our clock on the planet that goes by in the 24-hour cycle that some Muslim is not performing a prayer to Allah? Literally, right? Do you know that there's not a second that goes by in the 24-hour clock that Al-Fatiha is not coming off of a Muslim's lips? Now, that's unity now.
Yes, sir.
So Allah said the whole planet, the earth is my prayer carpet, if you will. It is my masjid. So we state the intention and we try to save maybe. And inshallah, if it be his will, we are still on course from the direction of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan under his guidance of the office of Imam through our national Imam in terms of us going to Hajj as a delegation from the Nation of Islam. That 10,000 has not been erased, but we're under the guidance of the Messiah, who is the master of prophets. So he best know when we can go. I asked him when I was invited to make Umrah. I didn't just get excited and be like, oh, okay, I'm going. I went and asked permission from my teacher so that he could guide me on whether now or not right now, because he sees what we don't see. He said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he woke up one morning in 1973 with the desire to go to Hajj. He called the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and asked him. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, no, not right now. Not right now. And in August, September of 1985, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan made Hajj for the first time. Okay? And has made Umrah plenty of times. So that's just, I had Dave, I had to give some history.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is also our national archivist, a student national archivist for those who weren't aware, as well as serving in the capacity as our student Imam. So real quick as well, brother, because one of our dear sisters asked in the chat, can you just briefly explain like what Hajj actually, like what that actually is?
Okay. Well, if you read in the Quran, we are commanded by Allah that if we're in the precincts of the sacred mosque, meaning the mosque where the house that Abraham and Ishmael raised, and that the Prophet, peace be upon him, was able to rededicate to the worship of Allah after it had fallen into the hands of the idolaters. And whenever we're in those precincts, we are commanded by Allah in our book, the Quran, to do what? To make Umrah. Well, Umrah is called minor Hajj, not because it's smaller in the sense that it's not significant. It's called minor due to the number of steps. It does not have as many steps as Hajj. So when we hear minor Hajj, don't think that it's less significant, because those pilgrims that end up making Umrah in the month of Ramadan, especially in them last 10 days and nights, they get the reward of making Hajj. So the command comes from Allah, first and foremost, that if we're there, we must make Umrah. And that is to go through the steps of getting into the state of Ihram. You're in Ihram as men by showing that we take off everything and replace our dress with Ihram, in the sense of two towel-like foldings around the upper body and on the lower bodies. But Ihram is more the state of being. It means to be prohibited from. Ihram. Say to yourself, Ihram, Ihram. It is the same word as that comes out for haram. The name of the masjid where the Kaaba is Masjid al-Haram. So, but in our, understanding, when we hear haram, it's haram, haram, haram from the immigrant people, we think that that's just saying that it's food, it's liquor, it's these things. Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us don't do that stuff from the God at all. But haram means sacred. So it is the sacred mosque, right? Therefore, we have to be in a state of prohibition or ihram so that we won't violate the sanctity of the mosque and what it stands for. So while you put on as men, now the sisters can wear what they want, we basically had to put on a diaper because we the ones that messed the world up. Right. So we got to go back. We got to go back to the original state and swaddle in these cloths, right? But the sisters can wear their clothing. They don't have to come out and put on a different style of dress. But under the ihram, we are almost like in Ramadan. We're forbidden to argue, forbidden to curse, forbidden to come out of character. It is a very solemn situation to be in. There are things that you can't do physically after that. There is no clipping of your nails. There is no clipping of your hair. There is no putting things back on, right? So you have to get into a mode, like I was saying, we need to get in Ramadan mode, right? Because we're getting ready to enter into some prohibition. But don't think that the prohibition, I can't cut my nails. No, there's something greater. It's almost like being still, which the word som, fasting, means to be still, to practice self-restraint. So in Hajj and in Umrah, you as men, we have to get into that state. The sisters get into the spiritual state as well, but they don't have to change their clothes. Then, okay, Umrah is we make 7 tawafs around the Kaaba. Okay. From that, we then go make 2 prostrations or a cycle of 2 rak'ah, right, of voluntary prayer in the direction of the place where Ibrahim or Prophet Abraham and his family were at the Kaaba. Okay. Then we drink Zemzem water. And then we make what is called Sahi, or we run between the 2 hills of Safa and Marwa, which are mentioned in the Quran. He's telling us what to do, right? This is where Hagar or Hajjah, the Hajj is named after her. This is a Black woman that was left out in the desert with no hope with her son, but she petitioned Allah by running back and forth, and eventually the well of Zamzam came up at the foot of Ishmael, alayhi salam, or peace be on him, who is also a prophet. So in that, we're retracing the footsteps, really truthfully, of Abraham and his family. Okay, I don't want to rush through this. I do need to bring us up to understanding these are rituals, but they have deeper meanings.
Yes, sir.
So we're retracing the steps. And then once we are finished that for Umrah, then the sisters have to cut a lock of hair, right? They have to just cut a little lock. And there's a hustle in everything, everywhere on the planet. So don't ever think that we be on our hustle and grind in Chi-Town and New York City and people out selling stuff and always trying to make a dollar. Right at the hill. We standing right there. After you finish them 7 back and forth, them little sisters be up there with a pair of scissors. Come. They want some money. And they'll cut the little lock for the sisters to make some money right there. But then the brothers, we got to go to the barber shop. It ain't like the old days. Some that they'll tell you, some of your parents that might have made Hajj, you see when you got to get the hair cut or shave, they got the old school razor. Right? By Allah's grace, everything is modern. You basically going in the barber shop and the man going to say, you want 1, 2, or 0? So all of them, you like your little waves and,
Yes,
let it grow out. And then tell them you either want a 1 or 2 if you ain't cutting it all off for Umrah, or some get it totally shaven off. And that completes it. You can come out the Ihram, you're released. Hajj, very quickly. Those same steps, right? But then the additions is we leave the masjid or we leave the precincts of Mecca and go out into Mina, which is outside of Mecca or the tent city, as we've seen those pictures, and you camp. So now you're moving away from the mosque. And then you go to Muzdalifah, right? And this is a little further. And then we get to the day of Arafat. Now, remember I said that most of what we're doing is Abraham and his family. Now with Hajj, the additional steps is the Prophet. Okay? With Umrah, there's no sacrifice of the animal. With Umrah, there's no stoning of the shaitan or the jamarat. That's not in Umrah. You don't leave the masjid. You stay right within the precincts. But in Hajj, you move out. So now we're talking days versus hours at a specific time in the month of Hajj, Dhul al-Hijjah. It can only be performed at that time. Okay? So, and we'll deal more with this after Ramadan as we get to the second Eid. But then you go on the day of Arafat, you spend your time on Arafat, in the plains of Arafat, and you pray and you supplicate and you ask that Allah forgive you of the sins. If we do not perform that, then everything else we do in Hajj, or in that case, the Hajj is void. So the Hajj is Arafat. That's what the Prophet, peace be upon him, brings to the ritual. Okay? Stoning of the Jamarat, that's Abraham. Okay? So you can move back. You got days to finish up those things. The sacrifice is Abraham. Right? Remember the ram and the Ishmael and the whole thing? That's what that is. The Prophet is Arafat. Peace be upon him. Without the day of Arafat, the Hajj is void. Thus, remember I talked about unity, the basis of religion? While the pilgrims are on Arafat, how do the rest of us join into Hajj? We're not exempted because we didn't go. We're going to celebrate their victory because when they finish, right? Now, the next morning is Eid. Eid al-Adha, the bigger Eid, the greater Eid. We have 2. Eid al-Fitr, inshallah, will be for us and after we complete the fast of Ramadan, and then Eid al-Adha. These 2 Eids are mentioned by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on page 138 of Message to the Black Man. Okay? Anyway, then we join in and we celebrate the victory of the Muslims where we are. and have Eid and get back to our nature. So I know it's a lot in that, but you asked what is Hajj, and
No, sir.
that's what it is. Hajj and Umrah. We pray to Allah that any of us that are blessed to do it, we will be able to do it, and Allah accept our efforts.
Praise be to Allah. That was not a lot, brother. That was just enough. As a matter of fact, pardon me for asking you to answer that briefly, because now I feel like that would have been a disservice, especially for those who will catch this on the replay, which there will be. So nobody needs to
Inshallah.
worry about that. There will be a replay. Um, and you just gave me something to look into as well, as far as the two different periods of
Eid.
Eid. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Because that slipped me. Um, also,
It's in the larger, oh, by the way, all of those things are in the one of the largest portions of Message to the Black Man is the section on prayer service in Islam.
yes, sir.
Think that over.
Praise be to Allah.
Took up a lot of pages for that.
Yes, sir. Also, before we go to the next question, you were saying while you were answering that about Hajj that we'll get to that. You were talking about a certain part. You said we'll get to that later on during Eid. Were you saying like you're coming back here or
No,
like?
well, I can, but through the Office of National Imam,
Yeah.
Imam Sultan Rahman, and myself and the staff, we know the emphasis now that has to be on the second or the greater Eid.
Mm.
If you look culturally in America, Muslims Eid al-Fitr. This word fitra means original nature, normalcy. So when Ramadan is over, we come out of that state back to our nature, right? The nature of being able to drink something during the daylight hours and okay. But you see Eid al-Fitr, hell, you don't even have to wait. Iftar comes from the same word, fitra, right? So look at iftar, the breaking. See, I went and I'm gonna get this food. So the Eid al-Fitr is huge. You see people you ain't seen. Do a public iftar and watch the people that come out. And it's okay. I'm not knocking it.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
just saying, look at us in food. All right, Dave, don't do that to me. Right. But look at us in the food. Right. So for all intents and purposes, it may appear that Eid al-Fitr is bigger because of numbers of participation. But if you go to the Eid al-Adha prayers, you'd be like, man, what happened? I came to the Eid al-Fitr prayers, everybody was out. Where everybody at? Part of it has to do with culturally where we are, because Hajj has attached to it sacrifice of lamb, goat, camel in certain jurisdictions, and the feeding of poor. You're giving up more in the Hajj of sacrifice. So we're not culturally involved ourselves ever in slaughtering anything, but some that have farms, if you got chickens and people want to eat those chickens, you're going to have to slaughter them. I know we don't like that word. That's just what it is, right? Okay. If you got cows, you have to slaughter them. Well, we don't normally participate in the slaughter of meat that we eat, right? But in our culture of Islam, there is a time period for slaughtering. And part of that meat should be given away. But the spiritual part for us in Adha is recalibrating as the 12th month of Dhul al-Hijjah closes into a new Islamic year. Okay. And it has other parts, but I wanted to say that. So we're going to deal this year, inshallah, extensively like we do for Ramadan ready. Well, we're going to be Eid al-Adha ready. So that we can have a better understanding of the two Eids that we do have. Okay.
Praise be to Allah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So on a national level, got you. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
sir.
And I mean, we're free to come on your platform too. I
Yeah,
mean,
I was gonna say, yeah,
however we can get it out.
yeah, we got the space for y'all. You and
Alhamdulillah.
brother Imam Sultan, y'all could come over here. It's whatever you want to do. But on to the next question. We have, let's see, can you share with us? I'll ask this one because this I would like to know. Can you share with us some new information you received for your archives? Because again, we have our national archivist with us as well.
Mm-hmm. What new information in terms of the archives? Well,
Uh,
we're always getting more documents, more pictures, of course, multiples or duplicates of things like I actually got a yearbook.
you
No,
said
I
that's
was talking to the MUI students on the West Coast yesterday, so we had the yearbook out from 1973.
oh wow.
And so that's why it's right here. But
Mm,
so we get multiple things. A lot of the things that we may get are personal items a lot of times that we may not technically share, but they do serve as the narrative to what happened. Since y'all want to get into the archive, this is an actual copy of the curriculum at Muhammad University of Islam from 1934. So
you said 34?
yeah, 34.
That's
This was
incredible.
this was the subject now. But bring me back and deal with archives at another time. But
Yes,
it's not because I'll get into that.
yes,
And that's
sir.
my passion and I love it.
I
But
can tell.
we're always to the point of the question, we're always getting new things. And we've had things that need time to be addressed or worked on. But suffice it to say, inshallah, when that Sajda house opens in Chicago, oh, we're going to have a beautiful blessing to anybody that went over there during Savior's Day.
Yes,
I
sir.
know just to be, and I want to ask is it anybody on here that went to the Sajda house over the weekend or who have ever been there prior?
Yes, sir. I
How
was
many of you felt the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in there? How many of you had that experience? That you could feel him? Yeah.
people in the chat.
So we thank Allah that our sister Sajda was able to retrieve the house, and she's doing a phenomenal job. And with the help of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and all of the believers that have been supportive, we can't wait to have something always ongoing at the Sajda house. And lastly, inshallah, next Savior's Day, we're going to come on back and give you a full-fledged Nation of Islam archive exhibit. Okay?
Mm. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Praise be to Allah. You knocked out another question as well, which was right after that, which I was gonna skip so we could dive back into Ramadan. But somebody asked if you visited Sajda house, so praise be to Allah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What benefit do we gain from the daily Quranic reading outside of feeling like we completed a task?
Okay, well, first and foremost, don't go into Ramadan thinking that abstaining from food and water is a burden. If you think that the month is a burden versus access to Allah in a way to gain nearness and closeness to Him, then how do you gain nearness and close to Allah outside of Ramadan? First and foremost, by prayer, the remembrance of Him. But if we ritualize that, oh, I made my 5 salah. Yeah, how did you come up from the rug?
Mm.
Did you get anything out of it?
Mm.
Right? See, then it becomes ritual. I just did it because I was supposed to. And you know how the Negro is when they're forced to do a thing, even if it's good for them. They hate it. They growl at it. Oh, I'll be glad when this is over. No, when we start understanding the virtue of Ramadan, Ramadan is really bringing us back to the 4 of the 5 actions of faith to be on the money with it. So it brings us back first to make us redeclare what we say. I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Bring us back to the obligatory prayer that Allah assigned to us at least 5 times a day, right? Bring us back to fasting. Yeah, we've done the other fast, but especially during the month of Ramadan. See? So these acts of faith are heightened and intensified. So the reading of the revealed word of Allah to his servant Muhammad, that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad mentions in Message to the Black Man, right? That we were talking about. He called it Al-Quran, which just means the Quran, right? So how do we get near to Allah, since he is as close to us as our own jugular vein? Do I think that because he's as close to me as my own jugular vein, that he's really close to me? Because he's always close to you and I, but we're remote from him because we didn't demonstrate anything to what? Tap into that nearness. But he's so merciful that when we're in distress and we hadn't mentioned his name in days, his name wouldn't even roll off our lip. As soon as we say it, oh Allah, like bricks up off your shoulder.
Yes, sir. See,
so now we're in a month that he says, fasting is mine. It's mine. It belongs to me. And whoever forsakes sexual relations and food and drink for my sake, I will reward them. So the fast is a secret between you and Allah, me and Allah, that nobody knows that you're doing it unless somebody asks you. Why? Because the attachment to Allah and getting near to him, yes, in prayer, yes, in the remembrance or what we call dhikr, the mentioning of his names, but best is to read the best book.
Yes, sir.
That the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, out of all the books Master Fard Muhammad gave him, he said the best one was in fact the Quran, because it is the root of Muhammad. Then the Honorable Minister comes and tells us what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad commanded on him. Brother, when you get in trouble, not if, when. And you know we way more in trouble than he is. Because the kind of trouble the Honorable Elijah Muhammad telling him about has to do with his job, with Satan. But the trouble we're in is self-imposed trouble, but yet the principle is the same. When we find ourselves in distress and in trouble, whether spiritually, whether physically, whether morally, nurse from this Holy Quran like a baby nurses of its mother. See? What happens when a baby nurses? What's in that milk coming from the mother's breast that's better than Similac and formula? See? What you nursing on? Family? You think you know better than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? So you nursing from all these sources. And you get excited for a minute, but it don't correct your morals. We out here asking for more pictures of Master Fard Muhammad. You got the one the Honorable Elijah Muhammad shared. That was for him.
Yes, sir.
Was he didn't give it to him for him to give it to us. He did that. Right? But guess what? That ain't sufficient. Well, if we got the official picture and we're still struggling with our morality, then what is the second and third picture of the Savior going to do? Now, we don't like this kind of teaching because it's disturbing our idols. We've made the pictures of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the minister and the God, into idols, objects of idolatry, instead of understanding the value of the picture itself of our Savior with the Quran open, demonstrating to his servant, you got to have your head in this book in order to survive the mission that I'm putting on your shoulders. Thus, I'm very passionate about this because the minister pointed out to us that they only saw the Honorable Elijah Muhammad carry one book, the Quran. How many of us, I'm looking for the true ones that will bear witness to truth. How many of you heard that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said he would not rest until what? Message to the black man became the law of the land? How to eat to live? The lessons? That's not what he said. He wouldn't rest until the Holy Quran became the law of the land. He ain't just talking about it in book form. He's talking about the Holy Quran manifested in us. That we become the reflections, yes, but deeper, full manifestation of Allah in flesh from reading his pure book. All these books I got, how many of them are pure? All the books you read, all of them you have. How many pure books do you have? One. And that's the one that we don't read the most. So what benefit do we get out of reading the Quran in the month of Ramadan? It is the benefit of reading it, asking Allah for understanding, not a race to finish it and you ain't even absorbing in what you're reading. So it is not an obligatory task, but it is a highly recommended part of our spiritual journey, so that if the 29 or 30 days come and you in the middle of the Quran, keep on reading until you finish. You might be 29th night and you just about there. Keep on reading until you finish. Some get excited and you finish on the 24th night. What am I to do with the remaining days? Start over. Don't say I finished. That lets you know you got the wrong mentality. Right? So did you hear the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say that he enjoys getting up during Ramadan and enjoying the prayer line? Yes, but making prayer with his family, the Fajr prayer. He even mentioned to us that he was calling the Adhan. Think of that. Most of us learned how to call the Adhan from that 1985 Los Angeles Forum tape. And the beautiful way the minister said that in the Al-Fatiha. But the point is, then he said to sit down with his daughters who were present that year and read the Quran, the part of the Quran that day. What excuse do we have? So that's the benefit, so that when we come out of Ramadan, maybe we'll pick it up every day and read some of it. And maybe we'll see Ramadan again where we're all reading it together, striving to read it together. So can I say this to us?
Please do.
We got all of these prayer lines, reading lines. These are beautiful places to join. If a group of Muslims is reading the Quran on the phone in the morning, join in. If you tight with certain brothers and sisters, get together in Ramadan. Who's keeping you from that? You don't need permission to do good.
Yes, sir.
Get together. Because if it's 3 or 4 of us reading together, guess what? We'll absorb it together better. We won't be as distracted. You take a piece, I take a piece, but we all listening and we all reading together, right? These are the kind of unity, this is the kind of unity that we should have in Ramadan and forge during Ramadan. Okay? Excuse my passion on that, but we got to grow up. You think that the minister is operating off of some power that is absent his studying the knowledge of scriptures and the fulfillment of them? He's the fulfillment of the very scripture he's been teaching us. But he don't put the book down. I don't know. Does he need to read the book? Probably not. But guess what? He's our example, and he shows us, he reads the books. That's for us. Because I'm not a master teacher like him. And I hope one day to be better than the teacher I am now. But guess what? At least I got an example to look at.
Yes, sir. That's
So
right.
keep your eyes on our beloved minister and stop being distracted by these other writers and other people and people that do what they do.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah, brother. That was
Y'all got me all
very
fired up. I was trying to be all reserved
no,
and
sir.
talk
That
about the
was
fast of Ramadan.
that,
You know that's your fault, Demetrius. It's all, I'm blaming you.
that you
Every
fired
time
up.
we get, because every time we get together, we be going in hard, don't we?
Yes, sir. Yes,
See,
sir.
Anissa, you finding out.
Yes, sir. No, that was needed for everybody, brother. The chat was going crazy, and I'm glad you did that. Just like I'm glad you went deep into Hajj, so that we can get over the symbolism and really get into the meaning behind these things and what we should learn and take from them. So praise be to Allah. Um, my dear sister Anissa kills me. I have to read what she put in the chat. She said we will complain about reading the Holy Quran because it's too long, but we'll read a Harry Potter novel in 3 days.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, you know how thick the Harry Potter novels are, brother. Like
Yeah.
600, 900 pages. Yes, sir. Praise be.
And the real Holy Quran is only about 600 pages.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. You see this thick. Oh, by the way, I need to say this.
Mhm.
Don't read the footnotes during the month of Ramadan. Okay.
Exactly.
That is not the footnotes is not the Quran.
Mm.
Okay. The reason why we have footnotes is because we're reading a translation. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says on page 93 of Message to the Black Man, in order to have a real Quran, one must know a real Quran is basically in Arabic, and you must know the Arabic language in which it is written. That's a real Quran. But you can get, he said, you can get a good translation of it in the Yusuf Ali as well as the Maulana Muhammad Ali. Okay? So don't get caught up in the footnotes during your daily readings in Ramadan unless you know you're reading something that might need some explanation, some gentle explanation, okay? But make a note of it. Keep a journal and a log in your Ramadan. While I'm on that note, Ramadan ain't just, yes, we on the spirituality, but you might have some goals in life you trying to accomplish. Some of you are brilliant writers. You still trying to write that book, Brother Abdul Salaam, on the history of the Nation of Islam. I'm talking to myself.
Yes,
right?
sir.
But some of you know you want to write a book. Start in Ramadan. I don't care after the 30 days, you got 5 pages done. That's 5 more you had since you've been carrying around your book in your heart and your mind for the past 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. They are personal goals you want. Ramadan is the place to get it. Side note, Ramadan is not a weight loss fast.
Come on.
But guess what? If you discipline yourself to the fast and correct your diet and bring it back to what Allah revealed to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you will naturally lose weight in the month of Ramadan. And when you finish, now you go on and continue your discipline, and it'll gradually get in shape. But don't you know you ain't been in the gym, but you excited because you know everybody fasting, and you're going to starve and thirst yourself to death during the day. That's what you're going to do. You're not going to really fast. You're just going to starve. And your body going to lose water. And it's going to lose some weight. And you're going to go to the gym that night and run 3 miles. And then the next morning, you're going to be willing yourself through. And then when the iftar comes the following night, you're going to gain 3 or 4 pounds just from the amount of food you try to take in. I'm being honest. Cut away. Because to be honest, your stomach is going to shrink in Ramadan. So you're not able to eat all night, eat a bunch of food. Water is more our best friend. So even the prophet gave us a formula, right? That we should be consumed of a third part food, third part water, and the other part air. Talking about the stomach, right? Right? Meaning don't fill it all the way up with water. Don't fill it all the way up with food, and just don't be in there with air in there. So food and water take some place and then leave some space for digestion. Isn't that how they eat to live?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. It's simple. But I had to say that it's not a weight loss fast. But you will naturally lose some weight. But don't let that be your goal.
Yes, sir. You just
Okay.
snapped me back to last year with that one when the minister said that on the Ramadan call that we had on the first day.
Yeah.
Sir. He took it deep too. Next question. Assalamu alaikum. I'm a relatively new Muslim and back in the workplace this Ramadan. I'm concerned about being able to make my prayers at work when I can't perform a full wudu. Does that mean I will be missing all of my prayers during the day and have to make them up when I come home? Thank you.
It's a very good question. Some people are challenged with that. I would offer that if you work a job, right? Labor law tells me, now somebody correct me if I'm wrong, you can't work consistent hours without some form of break, right?
Right.
So if you're at work during the time of door prayer, which is normally in your lunch break time, right? Then you go make wudu, you find, and if you can't find a place that you think is, I guess what you call it, sanitary or whatever, keep your bottle of water. Just take a bottle of water. Just don't drink it. Okay. I gotta say that.
Yeah.
But you make the wudu, you don't have to take a bath, right? You just go to a space and you rinse your hand, right? Rinse the mouth, rinse the nose out, wash the face, the hair, right? Up to the elbows, and wipe over your feet. Since you know you should have taken at least a shower or full bathing before you leave the house. Then, if there's no adequate space to make salah on a prayer rug, then you go find a space, or if you're at your desk, Allah tell us we could make prayer sitting, standing, lying on our sides. So there's go use Imam YouTube and Imam Google, right? Shake Google, shake YouTube, and look up how to perform salah sitting in a chair. That meaning there's always a way. And when you're new, you don't know. And we're learning. But you can find a way to make your prayer. Okay? Then, and I'm only laying this out as a base. God willing, join us this coming Tuesday as Imam Sultan and myself. We're going to deal with part 2 of Ramadan Readiness, dealing with worship, the practice of worship in the month. Okay, so with the noon and the afternoon prayer or Asr prayer, if you know that there is a real intensified duress, meaning that I could make the door prayer, but by the time the Asr comes, I'm going to be really engaged. Then you combine them. And then combining them just means that if you pray the door prayer and you salam out, that ends the prayer. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Then reinstate your attention for the Asr prayer and pray the Asr prayer. Okay. But don't use that if you know. You can't use it just to say, well, I'm going to try to get it in right now, so that way I ain't got to worry about it when it comes in. No, it's under the situation that you know that you're not going to be able to make the prayer at all due to a situation. And if that situation is not consistent, then you might do it once or twice or whatever it may be. The main thing is sometimes you can miss prayers, and the main thing that Allah asks of us is strive to make them up. But what you don't want to get into is avoiding and neglecting prayer all day, and then you think you're going to stack 4 or 5 prayers because you won't be focused enough to handle it. You're just doing it just to say you did the 5, and then it's empty. Okay? But guess what? And this is not to the believer that asked that question. Do you know we do what we want to do when we want to do it? And ain't nobody going to stop us from doing it. Even on the job. That's why we know we got 15-minute break, but we come back a half hour.
Thanks.
And we're willing to lose our job or get a reprimand for coming back late. Because we've justified to ourselves that while I go get something or do whatever I'm doing, I'm going to run across town and pick up my dry cleaning. Because I need my suit or my garment for the meeting. Come on. I'm just saying. Right? We do what we want to do. And when we really don't feel like going to work, we just stretch the truth and tell other than the truth and tell the people I'm sick today. And we use, wow, because I got I got about 3 or 4 sick days I ain't used yet. Don't use deceptive intelligence. Find a way to keep your prayers up. But there are times that you can't do it. You don't pray in hostile environments. You don't do that. You don't pray in unsafe environments. Okay? So if you need to delay the prayer until you get home, and that's the safest place you can make your prayer, and I might have 2 to make up when I get home, then that's what I'm going to do. Just have the mind and the spirit and the heart to go do that. Soon as I get out of here, I got to make it to a place where I can make the prayer. Please don't pray out on the sidewalk. Don't even pray at your work environment where people don't understand what you're doing. That's not, Allah knows best. But definitely don't negate your prayer. Okay? And if you're new, then you go to the message to the black man and you read the prayer service in Islam, and there'll be a modality for you from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that's rooted in the tradition of Prophet Muhammad, because he doesn't miss, that you will find a way to at least make a dua to Allah. But dua is not salah. Okay? So there's 5 obligatory prayers. Well, I don't know how to make salah. Then make dua. And learn, and we'll teach. And there are ways for us to learn how to make the salah. For certainly Allah ain't going to hold over you that which you don't know how to do. But some of us, we've been afforded to learn. We've been in the nation for 30 years. What's the excuse we got? We got the little prayer book to teach us how to do it. We got the blue book from Imam Sultan, how to do it, right? And we keep making excuses. No, that's the mother people's way of prayer. Who are you following? Yourself? Or are you following the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? So, hope that helped.
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. Have I told you that that's your favorite word yet, brother? I've been meaning to tell you. Modality.
What?
I knew we was going to get that out of you.
Because it is a mode. You got to be in a certain mode.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
I don't want to be in beast mode. I'm trying to get to God mode.
That's right. Come on. Everybody's going crazy in the chat. Really appreciate this, brother. I can't imagine how ready you are for Ramadan, having to get everybody else ready. So praise be
I
to Allah.
don't see it like that. Hell, I'm trying to get ready myself
Yes, sir.
because it is difficult to serve, but it's a joy. But I still have some goals too,
Yes,
right? I have personal goals, and in your household, you should be excited, with your family, and we're trying to, put our decorations up, and not that you need them, but it's something to involve children and grandchildren and to get them to see that we don't have to have the paganism of Christmas and Easter thinking that is religion. That has nothing to do with it. But to set the household in mode for Ramadan. Because see, when you got sisters that are cooking during Ramadan and you sit down and enjoy an iftar, imagine the strain of that. Where they used to tasting, right? And even in that, sister, if you need to take a Lord, that's a gift from Allah. Because you're doing something that those that don't prepare meals have to do. But we should, the reason why I'm saying this, don't see that as that's your duty. That's serious for a fasting woman to keep meals every day for her children and for her household, or for the come to the mosque, bringing something to the mosque for the iftar. That's serious. If the sisters prepare food during Ramadan and have Ramadan at your mosque, give them something. Put a cup up there. Do something. Darren, no, in mosque number 6, them iftars,
yes,
we
sir.
passed the bucket.
Yes,
Give it to
sir.
those sisters that brought that food out. For what? So all they're going to do is take it and go prepare more meals. These are etiquettes. Don't just be a consumer. And lastly, anybody that where we're in like day 15, day 18, and day 21, inshallah, and we be at them iftars, and you see them plates still piled up, don't make no judgment. Just know that maybe they might have to fast a like number of other days, because once you get in mode, normally your stomach can't handle but so much anyway. But to see somebody at iftar time piled up and down that, and then get right up and go get more, what happened to that 1/3 air, 1/3 water, 1/3 food? Because let me ask you a question. Any of us have fasted and found out that when it's time to break the fast for the day, right? That we crack some water and take some water down and maybe eat a piece of fruit or something, or a date or whatever, but just water. You see how quick our stomach fill up?
Yes, sir.
You'd be like, man, so you got to be careful. Don't down the whole bottle unless you did that strenuous work. You need that. But you just sip it a little bit. You got to prime. You might have some milk. Prime it. You have a slice of apple or something, and you'll find that satisfies you enough to go make your prayer, and then you have a right to sit down at the table. But you damn sure don't be one falling out your chair at the table after you and had your iftar, because the Isha prayer is on its way, and you want to be able to at least bow down with those that bow down.
Yes, sir.
Alhamdulillah.
You hit a couple nails on the head right there. Yes.
Hey, I want to thank the master's call, right? Because you can probably tell I don't feel like I'm in a straight jacket.
At all. Family.
Right?
Yes.
Like, the brother minister, brother Imam, he gonna come on here and nah, we're a family. We having a fireside chat tonight. So, Tuesday night was more like we had to dig in on some things, and man, we had 1,000 people on there. And over 2,600 total registrations. We had put the video back up, but inshallah, we're going to stream live on YouTube as well this coming Tuesday. along with the actual webinar, inshallah. But we thank the believers that was on the other night. But I don't feel like I wasn't in a straitjacket the other night. I'm just saying I'm among the beauty of the spirit of this call and those that put it on, and the generation of Muslims that it's your time. So you got to quicken to that and don't get forced into some forms of innovation away from the teacher.
Yes, sir.
Follow the teacher. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All praise is due to Allah.
Alhamdulillah. We have 15 minutes. I have another question for you here, brother. And to my staff, if y'all can decide who's going to close out in the Holy Quran, or even if you would like to do that, brother Imam, that would be different. That would be beautiful. But the next question, I've heard that the women should not touch or read the Holy Quran on their cycle. Is this true?
Well, it depends on what we're calling the Quran. The Quran as in the book form, we should really truthfully never pick it up with unclean hands. Okay. That's first and foremost. So when we're talking about the sisters in terms of their cycle, it is in the general sense, the actual book. Right. And then there's even suggestions that if the sister is reading the book, that you've seen the Holy Quran holders, right?
Yes,
we
sir,
place it in, that you would take like a pencil or a pen and turn the pages with that. But okay, if you're reading the Quran on your phone, is this the Quran?
No, sir.
No, it's not. Okay. But I want to deal with the reality of why that is even a point. Sisters, don't see it as a diss. Allah already informs you in the Quran what you should do when you're in that state. You don't go near the salah in terms of the formality of prayer. You make dua, you can do the remembrance of Allah, right? And what were we taught? That the sheer remembrance of Allah is the greatest force. You don't have to have a specific time to call Allah by his names, to make dua. There's no specific time for that. We can do that. To make dua, I don't even have to make full ablution. I don't even have to make ablution unless I just feel that I've been doing some things and I at least need to wash my hands, right? But even that, dua is, yes, but I can be in qiyam and supplicate Allah, right? So these are still things, these are acts of worship. That's what I'm getting at, sisters. You're not out of a state of worshiping Allah, but the point of impurity, right, is touching the pure book. We said it's a pure book, right? So it is the book of Allah, and not being in a pure state, such as I can't make salah even as a man if I'm profusely bleeding from a wound. Okay. If I'm vomiting, you don't make prayer and you're vomiting, right? If I know I've used the bathroom, one or two, I can't make salah unless I go through some motion in literal purification of the self. You see what I'm saying? So this part of what Allah gives you, you are being purified in that moment. Okay? You're being purified by something he gave you in your nature. So when it comes, can you turn it off because you don't like it? I want you to hear me. The devil give you a pill to stop it, though. See? That's the same with us in this craziness side note about facial hair as a man. There's some people on the planet, some men, they want facial hair They can't grow nothing. So those of us that naturally facial hair grows, try to stop it. Who gave you the ability to do it? It's innate. It's from him. We just choose to do what? Cut it. But as soon as we cut it, try to tell it don't come back. Right? So these are natural things. That's what I'm saying. These are not things that we look at and say it's a penalty. No, it's not a penalty. It's a reasoning for it. Okay? So I hope that helped us with that, but I don't want you to see it as that Allah is angry with you. And when you're on your menses, dear sisters, you don't fast. I don't care if you feel good enough to fast. Don't fast until you're finished. And you can make those days up. If you're nursing, do not fast.
Yes, sir.
If you just had a baby and you're in that period with your child that you're still, going through those things physically, don't fast. Okay? If you've had a severe operation physically, you are sick in that sense, do not fast. Okay? If you take prescription medication and your doctor tells you you cannot adjust that schedule and you got to do that during the daylight hours, you are to take your medication. We are not your doctor to tell you not to take your medication. Don't you lay that at Allah, his messenger, or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Well, it's Ramadan. Allah giving you an exemption because your health and safety is more important. You can do the other acts of devotion. Now, let's just say you got to have something on your stomach to take medication. Didn't say a full meal. So if you have the exemption, don't totally lose yourself in the exemption. It's just that you have to drink something. You have to have something on your stomach, okay? To make sure that you can do what you need to do. But don't take the exemption and just be like, man, I'm good. I ain't got to do that. That let you know you don't have the right mentality. Still make your prayer, still help out, right? And do the things that we can do. So, raw milk with medication is still filling and will do. Yeah, maybe so. I'm just saying, if your medication tell you take with food, take with water or milk, you need to do that. And the only reason I'm pinning this is because the minister has struggled with us on this. Do you know how many Muslims have died? Not in Ramadan per se, because we think we know better than the messenger. And when we face illness, we think we're going to take the remedy that God gave the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and how to eat to live and cure ourselves through that, when it was not our staple practice the whole time. Hear me?
Yes, sir.
And we have our holistic, beautiful practitioners like I do, and brothers and sisters that do holistic medicine, and they are trained that if you go see them and they detect something that they know herbs and things will not fix, they are duty bound to immediately tell you, you have to go get conventional medical attention. Yeah. And what we do, we go try to find another holistic doctor. And before you know it, we're out of here and we didn't even have to die. So I'm saying that in terms of the fast, when Allah gives you an exemption, take it. Lastly, the etiquette of those that will have an exemption not to fast from food and water, please do not eat and drink around fasting Muslims. I know we super strong. I know, nah, but that's just disrespectful. Don't do that. Go to the side. do what you have to do, and let it be. Okay? That's not your children, though. If your children are running around with snacks and juice, and leave your children alone. And please do not make your little children fast.
Yes, sir.
No, sometimes we do it not because we trying to focus so hard, they
Yeah.
end up getting caught up in, in the situation. Okay? So brothers that are married, help your wife. You be strong enough to say, if she's really trying to focus up, help out with the babies. Make sure they got something to eat.
That's
All
right.
right? But don't make them fast. I'm sorry. I know time is running out.
No, yes, sir. And super shout out, endless love to the sisters, you know what I mean, for what they do, making the iftar meals and whatnot, as you mentioned earlier. Never can go unappreciated. I don't know if this is Brother Fontaine or excuse me, Brother Abdul Rasul from
Mhm.
the final call, but somebody in the chat under the name Brother Fontaine said, "Peace, dear Brother Abdul Salam, aka my dear." I think that says brother-in-law.
Yeah, that's Abdul Rasul from the final
Praise
call.
be to Allah. He says, "You are doing a magnificent job of
Oh, all
representing our
praise be
invincible
to
truth.
Allah.
May Allah continue to bless you and the family on your end in every possible way. May Allah continue to bless us all, that this is our best Ramadan ever.
I
Praise
mean,
be to Allah."
yeah,
Thank
that's
you
my
for coming.
brother-in-law,
Yes,
and
sir.
he's a beautiful Muslim,
Yes,
and
sir.
he has all of the storehouse
Mm,
of knowledge from our teachers. Everything you want to learn on fasting, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has already covered, as well as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in his writings. And you should take this as a month to support our final call. I know everything is streaming and PDFs and ebooks.
mm.
Buy books and give them out as gifts. Get message to the Black man. Buy 5, 10, or 15.
Yes, sir.
Go out in the community and give them out. Get whatever you can get from the storehouse of knowledge, from the Final Call e-store, or call our Final Call and support that effort. He has everything you need, and he's running a tight ship of beautiful believers that are striving to get this word out all over the world. But don't let this month of Ramadan go by that we're not giving in charity in those kinds of ways. Support Black-owned businesses.
Yes, sir.
If you got a Black-owned restaurant that you know supports our diet and is good, go there and ask them, could you host an iftar there?
Mm.
How you going to host it? We want you to prepare this menu for us, and we're going to invite the people in, and they're going to pay for their meal. But we want a place that we can break bread together like this. You making friends now. This is how we support. But don't let this month go by and you not ordering something from the Final Call building to give out as gifts, or bring those books back into your house as well.
Yes, sir. That's the order, brothers and sisters. Can we get one more question in, brother? We started a little late anyway.
Well, dear brother, unless you putting me off, I'm here for you.
No, all right. Don't let me hold you till
I'm not going to tell you not to stick to y'all script. I'm just saying I'm
yes,
here.
yes,
I don't think I have an iftar to run to yet.
Because if we did, Sister Nisa would certainly shut this down. But what's Brother Darren? Give me pick a question out of here, brother, for me to select. We have so many.
Oh, could I ask a request of you though?
Yes, sir.
Could you share the chat with me,
You
the
can't see it?
transcript? No,
Oh,
I'm talking
oh,
about when
yes.
we done.
Yeah, yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Praise be to Allah.
So make sure if we can, because I want to read the other questions, because there may be questions that we didn't get to tonight
Yes,
that
sir.
we can answer on Tuesday. So each platform is feeding the other now and making sure that we cover some important questions of the believers that we may not have been able to get to.
Yes, sir.
My brother from Harvard, his name is Brother Ijaz Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
That means you're the certified Muhammad, huh? Okay. Ijaz means certification.
Praise be to Allah. I like that unity thinking, brother, with the
Mhm.
questions. We will certainly send that to you. All right, so I'll do this one. What is the significance of the call to prayer, and is there a greater significance during Ramadan?
Well, the call to prayer is significant because of how it came in terms of the monotheistic religions that come from Abraham, peace be on him. We know that Christianity, Judaism, and Islam all have its foundational root in Prophet Ibrahim or Abraham, peace be on him. And so, in those ways of devotion, when Islam was being perfected during the time of the Prophet, peace and prayers be upon him, the question came up about having a call to prayer. And some suggested maybe we should do it like the Christians do by the bell. Others suggested that we would use the ram's horn, that with our Hebrew family, right? And call like that. These are all noble ways in the tradition of Abraham that's done. But the prophet saw that our call would come from the human voice. And thus he asked Bilal to make a call to prayer. So in Islam, our tradition is that we call people to prayer with the human voice. So the significance of the adhan, I know that we like to say adhan. That's our dialect, but it is adhan, the adhan, okay? And it is to make a call that is heard by the ear, adhan, right? In this, if you look at the statements of the adhan, are they significant more in Ramadan? Maybe not more significant, because it is to call us to prayer, which the obligatory prayers are every day. But if you look at the significance of the statements, in the statements of the adhan sums up our faith every time that it's called. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Look at that. So 4 times we're saying Allah is greater than anything there is. What is the first pillar of our faith? It is the declaration that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. So, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah twice. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah twice. So our whole belief system is being run in the adhan. Hayya ala salah, right? Come to prayer. Come to prayer, right? Hayya ala falah. Come to cultivation, falahin, right? Come to success, or come to cultivation, come to growth. Because you won't ever open up the Quran if you're sincere and you are a believer that you won't grow from reading it. See? And in the morning, as-salam or as-salatu khayrun minan nawm at the Fajr adhan. Because in the morning, now we got to be told that prayer is better than the weights of your sheets. I'm sorry. Prayer is better than sleep, right? But you know what I'm getting at. So we have to be called. And then look at how it closes. We come right back to Allah is greater. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Right back to the oneness and the very sanctity that there is no God but Allah. La ilaha illallah. So in those statements, our religion is summed up. So whoever hears it, let him repeat it to himself or to somebody that can hear it, because it is supplication itself when we're saying it. Alhamdulillah. I hope that helps.
Alhamdulillah, yes.
Can I say this though? Do you know how many Muslims became Muslims being in other places and heard the adhan. Just off the adhan, they wanted to be like, what is that? Where's that coming from?
Yes,
And they
sir.
became Muslims just from somebody calling them to Salah, but they was really calling them to the entire part of our religion.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
That's powerful. I can't
Right.
wait to go out in the East and experience that, where that's like the norm.
Oh man, you ain't got to go to the East. You can go to East Norfolk and call the adhan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Call your people to call
Yes,
the believers in mosque number 57
I'll
to
take that. Yes,
prayer.
you're
That's
right.
an instruction. You be the Darren to teach you how to be a mueddin.
Yes, sir.
No, really. You know, this between me and my brother Anissa. Leave us alone.
No, you're right. You're right though. You're right though, because that's our job to make that the culture here. So you're right.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
make
right.
that. Yes, sir. Thank you
Mhm.
so much, brother Abdul Salam. We're going to give you a moment
Thank you.
to close out with any words if you would like, and we want to thank everybody who joined in as well. You know, love seeing all the familiar faces here. Love seeing brother Abdul Rasul hop in here. Sister Nilam stepped out of the booth just to join us. Praise be to Allah. Do you have any closing words, brother?
Well, you know, you might see people on here that you may normally don't see. Um, and I think that maybe our maximum is 100, Sister Anissa.
For the
Okay, well,
participants? Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yes, yeah.
Well, the invite got sent out to about 1,400 people that are on our Islamic Sciences email list. So a lot of you all are on that list yourselves. So in my closing, I would say whatever we need to do, maybe during the month of Ramadan to help you all increase your portal numbers or getting up to the next level, then I would, as always, put your Cash App and your information in the chat now. And I'm going to ask all of us to give $5 or $10 or $1 or whatever, so that they can at least for 1 month and starting in Ramadan, increase the number of persons that can be on the platform with them. Because we can do it yearly or we can do it monthly, you know, and they know how to take that and do what they have to do. So please, can we do that, family? Tonight, it's 100 of us on here.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, and if we gave $5 or $10 towards the cause, it will help us do that. So I close with, if you would like to be a part of the Islamic Sciences platforms, first, our national Islamic Sciences site run by our student national Imam, where the courses on Arabic, courses on how to make salah, and all of our Islamic etiquettes are right there. If somebody can put in the chat for me, muhammadcenter.com, muhammadcenter.com. Okay, please go to muhammadcenter.com and create a profile that will give you access to everything we've been talking about, all of the blogs, all of the articles on Ramadan. If you want to take the 6-week Arabic course at your own pace, it is available there, muhammadcenter.com. Okay. Secondly, for the month of Ramadan and after, please email us if you're not on our email list to know when we're doing webinars or being like on tonight. I sent it out to everybody that is in our email list to come on with the family tonight. You can go to ISC Baltimore at gmail.com. ISC Baltimore at gmail.com, and just email us and say, hey, add me to the list for information during the month of Ramadan, and we will add you in. And so inshallah, Tuesday night, we may go a little earlier at 7:30 Eastern time, and we'll consult, but it either be 7:30 Eastern time or 8 o'clock Eastern time this coming Tuesday with Imam Sultan Rahman Muhammad. as we will have our second Ramadan Ready course, and we'll be almost there. And before we go, everybody asking, when is it? What's the first day?
Yeah.
We'll tell you, and you'll know. But if we told you right now, maybe you would discount it. No, I'm just joking. But wait till you get the official announcement, okay? But I would just say that we should be in full mode ready by next Tuesday. Not that that's the date. It's not coming in on Tuesday night at all, but you should be ready that if it comes Wednesday night, we ready to fast Thursday morning. If not, we know by that Friday, we will all be in the month of Ramadan. Okay. So don't rely on Google and all the other Muslims and what they saying. We follow the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and wait for the announcement to come from our student national Imam in the office of Imam.
Yes,
but we want to be in Ramadan mode. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So that's it for me, brother. I thoroughly enjoyed myself tonight. And give the believers down there in Norfolk my love and greetings. You know that's my family. I see Yusuf on there, and
yes,
give
sir.
Brother Cap and Brother Minister my love. And
Allah will. Yes, sir.
See if you can make it up here during Ramadan.
I will strive to, brother. I've been meaning to come up to Baltimore. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sister Anissa, you had some words?
Thank you,
ma'am.
Yes, I just want to say thank you. That was all I wanted to say. Thank
you for having me.
Praise to Allah. We really appreciate all the guests that come on here and share their time and their energy and their wisdom with us. So it doesn't go, we don't take it for granted at all. The master call literally does not work if like people don't come on. It would just be me sitting here by myself studying. So I thank the believers so much who have allowed the master call to continue to be the master calling us to resurrection and to better ourselves. So all praise due to Allah. Thank you, Brother Imam. Salaam, student Imam. Salaam. And thank you to all the guests that came out today. And inshallah, we can see you. What's today? Today's Tuesday or Thursday?
Thursday, man.
Thursday.
It sure is. So inshallah, we can see you all back here on Saturday. We're still in our Closing the Gap. So inshallah, we can see you on Saturday, same time, same place. And then, of course, again on Tuesday, we just started Message to the Black Man. And then Thursday, same time, same place. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. We are striving to stay on the good foot, especially going into the dark hour. Praise be to Allah. And that's all for me. I just wanted to say hi.
Can I ask you a question, though, while I got y'all on the spot? I'm going to spotlight y'all. Would you all like to host a Ramadan Saturday?
What is that?
Pressure.
Well, we have programming during the month of Ramadan where we feature believers and special guests, the same thing that you're doing right now. You all would just be the host.
We will not mind. Look at my brother answering from me in the chat. Yes, they will.
It's just that you're hosting you're just going to host a Ramadan Saturday. But what we're going to do is make sure that it's set up that there's enough portals. You all just would be the host and for us. So you wouldn't have to worry about the tech side of things. But it will still be your platform. And in that, so that allows you all to do what you do during the month of Ramadan with the emphasis and still, because some people think I'm trying to run from the responsibility after all of these years of Zooms. Nah, I do have some other things I need to do, but it's still there, and we don't want that to die. It's not based on one personality. There's enough of us together to keep those things going, and since you have it, and you've been doing a beautiful job all year round for these years since we've come through the pandemic, then go ahead and be in Ramadan mode with the master call. That's all.
We will do that. My face immediately when you said it, but Allah has told me to stop saying no to stuff that I should say yes to. So the answer is yes. Stop ducking and dodging, Anissa.
We'll talk about that.
Yes. We would love to. We would love to. All praise to Allah. That was fantastic. Thank you for putting us on blast.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So then, Brother Imam, do you want to close out in the Holy Quran if you have one near you?
I can. I mean, y'all wanted me to read something?
Yeah, so basically what we do, we just at the end of every call, we usually read something from the Twitter book and the C1 book that the minister advised us to get. But for today, we could just close out in the Holy Quran and we just open up and go to a random piece, and then we read just a section.
Okay. Well, will you have a section to read, or do you want me to choose the section?
You choose.
No, sir. Random.
Random?
Yes, sir. Wherever
How
Allah
about
takes you.
how about we read something with emphasis?
Yes,
that's
let's
fine.
do that.
Okay. All right. So, alhamdulillah, we're going to read from chapter 97 of the Quran, and it reads, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Surely we revealed it on the night of majesty.
Mm.
What will make thee comprehend what the night of majesty is? The night of majesty is better than 1,000 months. And the angels and the spirit descended in it by the permission of their Lord for every affair. Peace it is till the rising of the morning. And this chapter is just telling us, surely Allah has spoken the truth. This is telling us of the advent of the night in which the Quran began to be revealed, which was on an odd night in the month of Ramadan. Okay?
Crazy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Do we have any church announcements before we close out in prayer?
Not that I can think of, no man.
Sister Jadeas, you are being called. Our third episode of You Are Being Called. What date is that?
Yeah, that came to mind, but we don't have a date.
You
That's
don't
why
have the date yet? Okay, well, stay tuned. We're gonna have the date eventually. So make sure you are following on us on Instagram at The Master Call. Again, make sure you are following us on Instagram at The Master Call for all of our fantastic updates and interviews and all the things. All right, so we can close on prayer.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you all again, family. Attention prayer. Attention
You
prayer.
want me to close out in prayer, or?
Yes.
No, sir.
All right. So we'll close with Surah Al-Fatiha, and then inshallah, we will actually recite Surah Al-Qadr, which we just read from the Quran in our original language of Arabic, inshallah. Okay? Attention prayer. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر. وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر. ليلة القدر خير من 1000 شهر. تنازل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر. سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. آمين.
Ameen. Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum, family. Again, thank you for the
Alaikum
Imam,
salam.
thank you to the staff, and thank you to everyone who participated. Have a blessed night.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, family.
Send me that transcript, Demetrius.
Yes, sir.
All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir. I'm so glad he intervened. Can you imagine me closing out prayer with the Imam on the call? What? Assalamu alaikum, family.
Walaikum salam.